Welcome everyone and happy Wednesday. We'll just give it a minute for people to join and then we'll get started. All right, welcome everybody. I'm Dylan Reed and I work on the construction success team here at Fieldwire. Just want to thank you guys for joining us today for our live webinar on project and account setup. To kick things off, just want to make a couple quick announcements. This webinar is going to be recorded and a copy of the recording along with the slide deck will be emailed to all of you at the end of the session. To keep things on track, attendees will be muted throughout the session, but please enter any questions that you have in the Q&A pane. Questions will be addressed at the end of the session during our Q&A session, and then we'll do our best to get to all of your questions, but for any questions that we don't address during the session, we'll have one of our experts reach out to you directly. Also, we have a quick 6-question survey at the end of the webinar that we'd really appreciate if you could fill out. This kind of helps us let us know whether the content we're delivering is useful and helps us plan for future webinars. With that, I'd like to introduce you to your speaker and construction expert, William Tam, who's a construction success manager here at Fieldwire. All right, Will, stage is all yours.
Awesome. Thanks, Dylan. Morning, everyone. My name is Will, and I'm a construction success manager here at Fieldwire. Just a little background on what I do and kind of where I come from. My role is to really just help our customers leverage Fieldwire to streamline some of their daily activities, and I focus on helping our clients maximize their ROI on Fieldwire by leveraging our personal industry experience and building out custom workflows that work for their team. We're really a team of people who actually all come from construction, likewise with Dylan's background. And before joining Fieldwire, I have actually used Fieldwire in some of my past projects. I come from the industry myself and used to work as a project engineer for PCL and Ellis Don up in the Toronto region. And I'm looking forward to hosting today's webinar, as well as working with everyone here to hopefully boost and gain some more Fieldwire knowledge. Again, any questions, please feel free to type it in on the questions part. And just want to dive on into a little bit of a rundown on what we're going to cover today in our agenda. Today's webinar will be more of an introductory session on how you can set up your account and projects within Fieldwire. And we'll start off with a brief overview on kind of what Fieldwire is and what we really aim to achieve for some of your projects. After the overview, I'm going to go through a live demo to show you how you can create a template project for your account to save time on the setup phase. Additionally, I want to walk you through how you can start thinking about and setting up the template project that you can use to accommodate for a variety of different workflows that your teams might use, be it punch lists or other task potential workflows. After the demo, we'll wrap up with a short and brief Q&A session and also go through some resources that you can learn from to kind of take some more information and knowledge on what we can provide for your teams. Awesome. So what is Fieldwire? Fieldwire was built to help your field and office team save time and money through an intuitive and collaborative project management software. We aim to improve the productivity of all Fieldwire users by giving everyone a tool to manage some of their daily activities, such as daily reports, accessing information, managing work, and reporting progress. We want to make sure that you can do all of this within a single software and platform. Fieldwire also provides real-time progress tracking, messaging, and quick access to the latest project documents. So instead of tracking information and progress through emails, text messages, and phone calls, our software can help streamline the collaboration and communication between the field and the office team. With Fieldwire, your construction documents are stored electronically and accessible both online and offline. So whether you're on a very remote site or you're on a site that has easy access to the network, you're always able to access the most important project documents and minimize the risk of delays due to a lack of information. And as we all know, miscommunication is a huge issue in the construction industry. And Fieldwire aims to kind of solve this gap by bridging everyone and all parties, be it architects, owners, GCs, or subs, all in one platform. So without further ado, let's dive into our live demo. Just a quick note here, there will be a pop quiz during the demo, and there will also be a prize. The first person to answer the question correctly will get a super soft and comfy Fieldwire t-shirt, like one I'm having here, and also some Fieldwire hard hat stickers, some that you can flex on site. But I guarantee you that this shirt is actually very comfy. Personally, I use it to go to the gym, and it's very sweat absorbent. So please answer the questions via the chat, and we'll follow up with the first person that answers correctly. Awesome. So let's dive into Fieldwire. When you log into Fieldwire, you'll come across this project dashboard screen. And this is actually the page where you can find all the projects you're on and also see external projects that you've been added to. The main difference between internal and external projects is that internal projects are under your account, which is account projects you've created, and external projects are actually under someone else's account who have added you to the project. Regardless, you're able to access both of these types of projects as long as you're added onto the project itself. Additionally, you can also pin projects that you've seen over here to the upper part of the screen. So let's say, for example, there's a couple of projects that you're more frequently on or that's more active. You can pin it to the top of your screen so you can have some quick access, especially when you might have, tons of project within this project dashboard screen that might cloud up, looking for the actual project. And in addition to that, you might notice this little bottom right tile on the, which kind of shows a little bit of the project information, such as your number of tasks, which we'll dive into a bit later, the number of users on the actual project, and the number of drawings on the project itself. So just a very high level information on, the project name and what's on the project. The tab beside this projects tab is actually the people's tab. And this is where you can add new users to the account or also to a specific project. And if you have a lot of users under your people's tab, you also have an option to export this into a CSV view. And you can just see additional information about the user by clicking this export user list. And this will actually send an email to you with the CSV in the user list itself. So I just want to show you quickly what that user list looks like and how what type of information is on there. So you can see additional information that you might have not seen from the people's tab, such as the project that the user is on and what permission level they have access to, which I'll also dive into a little bit in shortly. And just some high level information on what additional information that the user has to provide. Going back to the people's tab, you can see the number of users on the account as well. If you're an account manager, you can also adjust the account role. Over here, you can see there's multiple different kind of roles and permission levels. And you can actually change your role, which affects their permission level. And just to clarify here, there are actually two types of permission levels. There's an account-based permission level, which controls what users can do on the account. But there is also a project-specific permission level, which controls what the user can do on a specific project. And sometimes this might get a little bit confusing. So to learn more about each permission level, I wanted to introduce you to our handy knowledge base resource, which encompasses a lot of different help articles and how-to guides that talk about kind of our features. So let's say you have a question about a specific feature. You can click on the question mark icon on the top right and type in what you're looking for. So in this case, because I want to learn more about account role, I can type out account role. And when I search for it, you can see a bunch of related help articles and how-to guides popping up. So this is perfect when you want to get like an immediate answer, or if you're trying to look for something how to do, and you don't want to wait for a response time from our support team, you can have the guide right away for your access. So I can open up an article that talks about, the different permission levels. I can either view it from this pop-up or open up a separate tab, which gives me a little bit of an expanded view of, what each permission level does. And today, I'm not going to go through kind of one by one on what the permission levels are kind of detailed on, but please feel free to go on our knowledge base to learn more about the different permission levels. All right, back to Fieldwire. So if you want to see your account information, you can click on the Account tab, which is a page that contains all information regarding the account, such as the plan that you're on, the number of users that are under your contract, how many users are on the account, and also the renewal date. There's also an export license feature on the top left here, which gives you a percentage breakdown of the licenses in each project. So if I click onto this, similar to what I had on the user list export, I'll also get a CSV, and what that kind of looks like is, for example here, this shows you a breakdown of the percentage that each project uses up in terms of resources for the license. And this can be pretty handy when you want to see how many users are allocated towards a specific project. For example, you can use this to split the invoice or bill across multiple different projects if they're billable separately. And moving on to creating a new project, let's talk about creating a new project and how you can do this. So first, we need to go back to the project dashboard screen, which you can do from clicking the projects tab here. And essentially, there are two ways to create a new project. The first way you can create a new project is by selecting the new project button. This allows you to create a brand new project from scratch. And when you create a brand new project, you'll receive prompts that walk you through the process of uploading new plans and setting up task categories within the project itself. The second way to create a project is actually by cloning an existing project. And this method can help you save time when setting up a new project, because essentially you can select specific elements of an existing project that you want to copy over. So for example, here I have a bunch of categories and statuses maybe that I related to my task that I want to copy over from my last project. I can select those and just duplicate it over onto my new project. There are a couple of things to keep in mind when creating a template project, which is going to be kind of the project you create, and it'll be empty, but it'll have all the structure and skeleton of how you want your teams to manage Fieldwire. So a couple of things to keep in mind is, first, you should think about setting up the folder structure for your plans and files. So this keeps your drawings and any PDFs that you might upload onto Fieldwire a little bit more organized, and it's not just super messy and all over the place. And then secondly, you should think about the potential workflows you might want for the project. So for example, if you want to use tasks for a specific, tracking specific issues or items, you can actually customize the task categories and statuses to fit your workflow. And I will cover that later in the session. But to save time during the session, I actually created a template project beforehand called a commercial template project over here. And let me just open this one up. And when you open up this project, you will come across this page. And just a little bit of an overview of what how Fieldwire is designed. On the left sidebar, you have quick access to all of our tools, such as our plans, specifications, task, photos, forms, files, and also our 3D models. So let's start with plans. You can probably see that my plan page is a little bit different from what yours look like. And when you're creating a template project, consider the folder structure for your drawings, such as if, for example, if I'm going to be having architectural, civil, and landscape drawings, what type of plans will this project also have? In my template, I created a folder for each type of drawing, but you can also add new folders by selecting the new folder icon. And in this case, let's add one for millwork here. And over here, you can see, if I go back and close my folders, I can see a new folder called millwork. And what this allows me to do is, once I have a folder structure on the actual project itself, moving forward, when I clone this project, new projects will adopt the same folder structure. And I'm going to dive into files as we're talking about folders. Similarly, you can set up a folder structure for files as well. And this also allows you to organize some of the files for your project. One quick tip is I definitely would recommend setting up a folder for different types of files that you might have on the project. Sometimes people want to track approved submittals. Sometimes people want to track approved shop drawings. And you can actually create a new folder from the same icon. And you can add one for, let's say, example, in this case, let's create one for shop drawings as well. But the difference here is you can actually edit the permission level. And this can allow you to kind of restrict access from different certain permission levels. So let's say, for example, there's some sensitive financial information, you can restrict it to admins only. And I'll go a little bit deeper into kind of what the different permission levels are available for users in a bit. So I was going to create this, and you can see a new kind of shop drawings folder on the file page. Awesome. So once you have some of these kind of more high-level items set up on your project, you can start adding users to the project by selecting the people's icon on the bottom left. Over here, this is very similar to the account user page, except that this is project specific. And as an admin, you have the ability to change the access level and permission level for each users. And just to kind of clarify, there's 3 different permission levels. There's your admin, member, and follower. But due to the time constraint, I'm not going to go into detail for each of them today. But we do have an help article that walks you through, what each permission level does and what they have access to. So please feel free to leverage our knowledge base to access some of this information. We have tons of articles that talk through a bunch of different features and kind of how you can leverage Fieldwire to maximize your ROI as well. Awesome. So did a lot of talking. I want to give a little bit of time for a quick pop quiz and reward some of y'all for hopping on the call today. And yeah, so I just want to ask a quick question here. Where do you think you can clone a project template or create a new project? A is the account page, B is the project dashboard, and C is the settings page. I'll give everyone a minute to answer the question. And in the meantime, please type in the answer in the chat. And I guess in addition, if anyone has questions about how to find the answer, again, you can use this question mark icon to search for a specific kind of information that might help you find what you want to do on Fieldwire. Cool. I think feel free to type in any answers and questions as we're kind of going through. But moving on here, I want to talk a little bit about Task. So Task is an extremely useful tool that you can use to track a variety of different things on site. Everyone uses Task a little bit differently. Some users leverage Task to track RFIs, observations, progress, deficiencies, maybe deliveries for equipment, and some people even use it to track commissioning. This is just to name a few, but Task is actually a very great communication tool that can help you replace some of the haphazard phone calls or emails you might have, but also maintain like proper documentation and records. So then let's say, for example, something does happen and you need to go back in time to search for that information. You have it documented somewhere and you know that you have all the kind of related correspondence regarding that record. But because the Task module is so flexible, I want to go through some examples on how some of our clients set up their task workflows in their template projects. First, let's start thinking about some items that you might want to track on your project. So, let's say, for example, if I was a general contractor, I might set up my task workflow to accommodate for tracking my scheduled work and my rework. So in this case, I want to go through a bit of like different things you can customize on Task itself. So task categories is the first one I want to go through. And you can actually find these on the left sidebar, right underneath all the quick access. And these can be edited essentially to kind of fit whatever workflow you need. But I pretty much created a task category for each scope of work and each division. So for example, here you can see one I created for electrical, drywall, and flooring and HVAC. You can also create your own set of tasks, or sorry, a new category by clicking the new category and typing in something that you might want to track. So in this case, let's say I have some millwork I want to track. I can type that in, and you see that a new category has popped up under the task categories. So start thinking about what things you might want to track on your project, and also I'll go into a couple of different examples on how other specialty contractors have used task as well. Moving on to task statuses. In a brand new project, when you create one, which might be something that you'll see when you create a new project, you actually see these are all the task statuses that are available to you. And this is actually just the default task status for any project. And essentially these statuses are there for you to push the task through a workflow. For example, if I have a deficient work task, I can push it to a completed task once the issue has been rectified. And on your template project, you can also customize your task statuses to accommodate for additional workflows. So in this case, if I go back to my template project here, you can see that I actually changed all my default task statuses to match my workflow for tracking scheduled work and rework. And you can actually create a new task status by clicking on this gear icon. You can also edit existing ones, but over here you can change the name, for example. You can change the color, and you can also change the permission levels for task statuses. To learn more about kind of what the types of statuses are available, you can click here and we'll link you to a help article that talks you through how you can start thinking about customizing your task statuses. Just a little note here, you can create up to 7 different task statuses to track a bunch of different items. And over here, I also want to note, diving into some examples here. So I want to provide a few more examples on how some of our clients customize their workflows to track different items with tasks. So I was going to go to an electrical project here. Some of our electrical specialty contractors use task categories here instead of what I use to track divisions of work, to track different equipments and systems on their project. They also changed up the task statuses, as you can see, to track inspections, equipment releases, RFIs, and also scheduled work. And there's just one example as kind of how an electrical contractor can potentially think about tracking some of their work. Additionally, I have another example here for a specialty contractor that focuses on precast construction for concrete. And over here, you can see that their categories are also a little bit different from the previous 2 examples. They use it to track some of their pour schedules and also some of their forming work. So additionally, they also use statuses to track some of their change orders and deficiencies. But instead of sticking to one type of task category or status, they tailored it specifically for their project team and what they would want to track. One quick tip here actually is I've noticed that when you're moving through different phases of the construction, such as pre-construction, during construction, post-construction, you can actually change your task statuses to reflect what needs to be tracked at that stage. So for example, during pre-construction, I might want to track design sprints or design coordination items. But if I want to make room for deficiencies or maybe commissioning down the line, I can always adjust those as well. One more thing, I guess, before I kind of wrap up the live demo is the forms module. So over here, if I go on to my template project here, if you're on the business tier, you actually have access to a forms feature, which essentially is a feature that allows you to digitize all of your physical forms that are filled out on site. Over here, you can see I have a bunch of different folders, and each of these represent a different form template, which can actually be pulled in from other projects and also shared to the account level. So for example here, if you want to standardize the daily report in your company, you can maybe share the same daily report on the project template, on the template project. And this is perfect if you want to kind of standardize any additional forms, such as maybe checklists or timesheets. And if you want to learn more about how to set up form templates, you can search up actually the forms on the actual help bar here, and you can learn more about custom forms and how you can set those up. So just to kind of summarize some items here that I walked through, I know we covered quite a bit of material. Just a couple of things to consider when you're setting up a template project. First, you want to create a plan and folder structure. This allows you to better organize your drawings and files and make sure everyone knows where to find the information. Next, you want to set up the task categories and statuses to customize for the workflows that you have. And I guess one step before that is to kind of think about how you want the team to use Fieldwire for a task on Fieldwire, and essentially what type of information that you want to track and make sure that everyone has some action item on. And for the business users, you can also create form templates that you want to duplicate into other projects that you want to standardize across the company. So that's a wrap on the live demo. And I hope we're able to stir up some ideas on how you can start thinking about your project templates and workflow to get your projects completed faster.
Awesome. Thanks, Will. We'll dive into a quick Q&A session here now. We got a couple questions coming through the Q&A pane. Just a reminder, if you have any, just type them in and we'll try to answer them right now. But I have one here for you, Will. I'm in the process of creating a custom form. Why is there no preview button?
Gotcha. So actually, when you're creating a custom form, for example, let's say I am on this one here. If I open up the actual form itself, I can't see a preview because I need to actually open up the template. So if I open up Manage Template, as I'm, let's say, creating a form and I want to see what it would look like on the back end or what it might look like to the user filling it out, there's actually a preview button on the top right here, which you can click into and see, if there's any specific kind of line items I missed, or if there's any like kind of spelling errors, I can kind of use this to track it out.
Perfect. And then I have another question here. Can you have multiple assignees on a task?
Yeah, that's a great question. So let's open up a task here and walk through that really quickly. So in this case, let's use just a scheduled work here. So for the assignee, you can actually only assign one person, but what you can do is you can actually add watchers to the actual task itself. So in this case, let's say, Bob is the person who's going to be performing the work. I'm going to send this out. I'm going to assign this task over to Bob, and he'll get notified of this work. But additionally, if there's any, let's say, for example, let's say Jane and Carol is also someone that is going to be looking after this task. If I add them as a watcher, anytime there's an update or anytime there's kind of any kind of movements on the actual task, everyone within the task, such as Bob, myself, Carol, and Jane, will all get notified as well.
Perfect. Then another one here. What do the different symbols and the tasks represent? Diamond, square, and then the pin drop.
Yeah, that's a great question. And just to kind of open it up here to kind of clarify some of that, let's start with the diamond one. So the diamond task, you can see that essentially it basically means if the task is linked to a location or a plan, or if it's not linked to a location or plan. So diamond means that this is linked to a plan, but it's not linked to a location within a plan. So let's say I open this one up here, which is the diamond task. If I open it up on here, I can see that task number 9, which is the one that I just opened, is not linked to an actual location on the plan. So just to kind of show you what it looks like when I link it onto the plan is I can drag it here, and you can see that it changed to kind of a inverted teardrop. And that means that's essentially linked to a plan itself. Sorry, linked to a location itself. And if you see any ones that are squares, it actually means that it's just not linked to anything at all, which sometimes you might want to just kind of use it to track out some maybe scheduled work or something that isn't sensitive to kind of the location of where this task is related to. So sometimes you might want to use a non-linked task. Hope that answers your question.
And to kind of follow up on that, we have another one. Can you pin multiple locations for the same task?
Multiple locations. So unfortunately, I guess for this kind of question, it's you're not able to pin multiple locations. But what you can do is you can create a related task that kind of gives you the ability to link back to, let's say, for example, I have a task here that's related to this specific task. let's create a brand new task here. Let's just say this is plumbing. And right now, this task isn't linked to anything on my actual, I guess, plan. But what I can do is I can open this one up and I can see the related task associated with this task itself.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, Will. Well, I think that's it for time, but appreciate everybody for joining us today. Just a reminder, if you could take a quick couple of moments to fill out that post-webinar survey, we'd really appreciate it. And any other questions that we weren't able to get to today, we'll have some of our construction professionals reach out to you directly and answer those questions. And this deck and recording will also be sent out to all attendees and registrants.
Awesome.
But thanks again. And that's anything else from you, Will?
Nope. Thanks again, everyone, for hopping on. And it was a pleasure to host this webinar. Looking forward to seeing everyone on the platform.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.